the world over, but most importantly in Nigeria, because that's our own immediate constituency. And when you really understand how the trajectory of a nation is shaped, you know that no nation can really grow the way it ought to grow and, of course, attain its maximum potentials when you have huge amount of moral decadence in existence. So today we are going to be looking at how we can actually stem this spate of moral decadence, and we are going to be looking at the role of one of the major forces really of galvanizing the society, and that is nothing but counseling. So we are looking at retooling counseling for minimizing moral decadence on the program this morning, and we have in the studio to discuss this from my immediate left, Dr. Emily Adeniji. She is a chairperson, Association of Professional Counselors in Nigeria, Ogun State chapter. It's a pleasure having you joining the conversation this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
And to complete the team is Shino Adefolahon. He is a child development advocate. It's a pleasure having you in the studio this morning with us.
Good morning, viewers at home.
And of course, I'm not alone. My colleague, Taiwo Fabajo, is also here, and together we are going to be taking on our guest. Taiwo.
Okay. Yeah, good morning. Good morning to our guest once again. And when we talk about moral decadence, we look at a lot of issues, which also issues like exam malpractice, cultism, drug abuse, sexual misconduct, violent behavior, cybercrime, and many more. And looking at the area of drug abuse, where we have some statistics about this, about 14.3 million people between the age of ages of 15 and 64 years engage in drug abuse in Nigeria, and this is quite worrisome and alarming. To start with, let's start with Mr. Shino Adefolahon. Looking at the issue of moral decadence, we've mentioned some of the things which encompasses moral decadence. Looking at it from the basic, how do you define this further? Looking at moral decadence, and also some of the things which I've mentioned, some others that I've not been able to mention. Can you also throw more light about this?
Well, basically, when we are talking about moral decadence, what we are talking about is about the decrease in what is expected to be an average acceptable ways of life. For instance, we talk about drug issue. Yes, these are things that are not accepted in the society, and of course, by the time substances have been abused, what are the consequences of all these things we are talking about? We have people who have psycho issues, and of course, people again engaged in so many moral values, like not respecting elders is also part of it, stealing, cultism. And of course, when we look at all these vices we are talking about, one will discover that all these things happened as a result of paradigm shift from what life used to be in the past, when that culture of accepting that it is not your own biological parents that is responsible for the moral upbringing. That is the kind of environment and the culture that some of us grew up with. But over time, because of the influence of the Western civilization, it is me and my family, and of course this me and my family precludes other members of the community, the other members of the extended family from spanking and of course discipline the youths within the community, and as a result, this gets over their head, feeling that nobody else could control them. And of course, again, we should also not forget that talking about moral decadence, we should not exonerate parents, because talking about the social structure of civilization, this actually starts from home. And of course, when that gap is there, from home, then it is a foundation. And of course, what do we expect the school to build on? What do we expect the community to build on? What do we expect the government to build on? That is where the failure starts from. And of course, to all of us, it is a responsibility and it's a task for all of us to ensure that, yes, we accept Western education, we accept Western civilization, but then we also need to revisit the way it is being done in the past by the elders.
Well, we see situations where some parents, they do their bit, they do their best, really, in inculcating the right morals in their children. And then the moment the child leaves the house, probably he leaves or she leaves for an extended period of maybe 3 months, 4 months, and most of the times it is when they gain admission newly into higher institution where they have to stay, you know, far away from the house, and then they're on their own. These children, you know, fall by the wayside. What do you think could be responsible for this? And then when they were in the house, the parents did their bit, including showing them the way of the Lord and then also inculcating them the right morals.
Within the context of that discussion, the issue of peer influence comes into play, and of course the interplay of the home and the environment. Yes, parents could try, but then where the environment that child has been exposed to is not really favorable, and of course coupled with where he or she is coming from, then there's going to be a problem. But on a good day, on the average, where a child comes from a sound home with moral upbringing, the degree, the tendency of that chap misbehaving or falling to the other side is relatively low compared with one whose home background is something that cannot really, one cannot be proud of. So, peer, I mean, the issue of peer there, because that is when you get to meet students who are not going to school, those students who classified as students of school 2, those students who are used to drugs, those students who are used to defiling young girls, and of course, these are the kind of elements that go into raping, these are the kind of students that uses drugs, and of course, once he or she has tried it, the issue of addiction and the continuous testing is what usually the practice.
All right, Dr. Adediji, to you now. I will want to continue from where you stopped. For a parent, for a young child who gained admission into university, yes, it comes from a very good home, but along the line, gaining admission, peer pressure, he met a lot of people. So this, you know, actually affects his behavioral, causes behavioral change and a lot of things. For now, as a parent, what can the father and mother do when they notice a change, a very bad change in a child like this, when you talk about the moral part of the child's life?
Thank you. Let me start with the issue of this moral decadence. It has become a kind of cankerworm. It has hit so deep. And I put in quotes, a good family. Right from that family, the child can learn what is going outside the family if the parents are not so sensitive. It's not a matter of until the child is out of the family. You know, there are some things they learn on social media. You'll be so surprised seeing a very small young child even showing you some things on the phone that you're unable to understand. So what I'm saying is this: a good home connotes so many things, and it starts right from the beginning. Now, when the foundation is faulty, whatever we put on it, there is no how it will collapse. Now, the availability of parents, right? Even no, we know child that we have. The child learns right from the womb. Yes.
How do you mean?
Yeah, you know, when we have a pregnant woman, the big stomach, the woman may not feel comfortable. By the time you tap it, the baby will adjust. Do you agree with me? That is learning. Now, coming down to the home, when the parents are so sensitive, There are some things they need, not you must do this, you must do that. Of course, they must be role model. We have some parents that they preach, but they don't do what they preach. They do some things and their children, they see them. But outside people, the outsider will see that these are good families. But whereas the children know that these ones are not good parents. We have many of them like that. Now, let's put in quotes, good parent or good family. Well, just we have our slogan, we cancel, God sustains. There are some things the parents must have put on ground, what they do, everybody embrace whatever is going or running in that family. But if they are not sensitive, let me give an instance where my children were still very young. Anytime, right at the middle of the night, I just bumped into their rooms, I picked their bags, I checked everything. I would have seen the picture of what they have done for that day right in the school. By the time I see any strange thing, I may not even ask at that particular time. No, probably because we are trained as the professionals. And we have series of questions that will link to what I've seen. And the moment they say that, of course, they have to be open. So if every parent can take, especially right now, because we have some that have already become a dry bone that if you bend them, they can break. Let's start to train them right from the beginning. Let's check our children. Let's demonstrate what we want to see in these children's life. So good parents, we may have genuine ones. They will teach them, they will train them. But right inside the home, the children can still be outside. When the parents are not really open to them, to welcome them, to correct them genuinely and in love. So they would love to go out. God will have some parents, you want to disgrace me. Don't you know I'm a clergy here? Don't you know I'm reputable? Don't know people, what do you think people will say about what you're doing? So their children may be so not free and keep to themselves. Where will they get advice? Of course, they will go out and they will get what is not expected. And that will not be in tandem what the parents or the rules and whatever they do in that home. So in putting good parents or good family, there are lots of things to make that family to be good and to be genuine good parents or good families.
All right, Mr. Adefolano, in the 80s, in early 90s, people aspire to be morally upright. It's one thing that they so much want. They work towards, and many will live very upright in the many things that they do, because morally you discover that they try to do everything accordingly. But these days you discover that people are not very intentional about having that very moral life. I would like to know, some also believe that poverty is part of the reason why this has played out. Do you subscribe, do you believe in this school of thought that says poverty is also part of the reason why people are not subscribing to the idea of being upright morally?
Well, let me first correct an impression. It is not only about in the 80s and 90s that people aspire to be morally upright. As even we speak, we still aspire to be morally upright. But then the degree of that uprightness is the issue that is coming down, that we all need to scale up. So coming to the issue of poverty. Poverty is just one out of many. Yes, the philosophers will say that an agreement is an agreement. And so, to that extent, somebody who is angry will definitely misbehave. Somebody who is angry may go out to steal, to go into drug, commit suicide, commit rape, and other social vices. But then, when we are talking, it's about what do I want? And who am I? And what kind of, it's about empathy. It's about interpersonal relationship. That's my neighbor. That's my boss. The people we are working together. And me as a person, whom or do I hope to become in the nearest future? And so these are some of the areas where our youths, our children, seems to lose focus. In that, in the essence, beyond the issue of poverty, our youth try to look at bad role models. And so it is those role models that they now try to aspire to. Yes, it is good to aspire to become a good footballer, to go into music, but beyond them, there are other areas that our youth could tap into to explore the possibilities of all these things we are seeing. And of course, where counseling comes in this discussion, is about giving the right information to our youth and the children, for them to be able, we open so many opportunities for them, so many chances. It is now left for them to be able to say, from the various options and analysis presented before me, and based on my own value, this is what I should be able to opt for. That is helping them to make an informed decision. That is where counseling comes in. And of course, as parents, as teachers, this is part of the key area that we also need to buckle up as school administrators, as parents, as government, as an institution. We need to open up that area of communication between either the parent and the school, so that, you know, at times some of these students, and of course our children, they misbehave because they didn't have that close access. Some of us as parents, we are so rigid that our children find it difficult to approach us to find out, Daddy, why is this so? Mommy, why is this so? So, and of course what we are saying is that at the level of the home, the parents should be more accommodating, that the guy's child, even at the point when she has issue, it could be menstrual issue, it could be hygiene issue, it could be reproductive issue, we'll be able to feel free to talk, if not to the father, at least to the mother, and say, this is my condition, and of course, how do I go about it before she goes out to learn in a very bad way outside the family. And so within the school system, one good opportunity is that, one, the school should open up communication channels through what we call the Students' Representative Council, where students can openly express their yearnings and aspirations. Schools should endeavor to put suggestion box in some corners where students could be able to feel free that this is an area where we want improvement, that our teachers are not doing this, that our students, we want this. So, and of course, this little for the place, other higher institutions of learning, where students should be able to feel free and communicate what they want. Where that gap is not there, then students are bound to misbehave. And we are talking about this moral decadence.
Thank you. Doctor, how can separated partners also manage this? We have talked about there's high level of breakdown in family values and also family structure. Just like he mentioned, what we look at parents who are together, but the separated partners, how can they come together to ensure that the children that they have do not uphold the structure, family structure, and have a belief in family values?
We are talking about the broken homes. Now, they're already separated. You know, when two elephants fight, of course, the grasses will suffer. but it's not totally out of place to train these children to do it right. And you know, I mentioned something at the initial stage that the children look at us to be role models. What are the things we are doing? So any home that is not yet separated might also be having issues. They're just managing themselves. That is life. Separation. The children will be either with the mother or with the father. But the love must be shown to these children. They must understand why the separation comes at the first place. Why are you separated? There are some things that can still be corrected because these children, they learn from what we are doing. And the separated parents need to show love for their children, irrespective of their grievances or whatever that might have caused the problem between them. APOCON is shouting and calling on doing things right. We target to be for right. Right. For right. APOCON is clamoring to let people do things right. Do it at the right time. That's the first right. The second right place. Mission, right purpose. Then what type of people? Right people. So when we put all this together, we see when you do things right at the right time, in the right place, with the right people, and with the right mission or purpose, of course, the society will have peace and reduce this issue of social devices in our society. And it's not only people look at counseling. Do you agree with me that everybody needs counseling? But some people have turned counseling to be just to guide. If you are not a medical doctor, you cannot treat someone that is sick. I think I'm right. So we have technical know-how. Professional counselors, skilled, they are trained to know how to put the right peg in the right, in the round hole. It's not a matter of guiding someone based on your experience. But in counseling, we are trained. That is why professional counselors in Nigeria. So there are some things, naturally, we can look at it. Probably this child has done this because of this, but it must have gone even beyond that. But with our technical know-how, of course, we diagnose the child, the client, to know this is the problem, this is where the problem is coming, how can the child get out of the problem? And technically, we cannot put the whole problem on these children. There are so many factors surrounding them. Now, it may not even be the issue of poverty alone, because Albert Ellis says, your reasoning, your rational reasoning, if you have your thinking is so rational, you will not think irrationally. Because you can't tell me because your father, you don't have mother, that is a yardstick to become an armed robber. No, your reasoning has only put you to that area. But it's the work of the counselor, professional counselor, to restructure that reasoning, and you know that having this problem shouldn't make me to behave in this way. So that's
now,
just it.
You are a professional counselor, and while you were speaking, you talked about the fact that everyone, as a matter of fact, needs counselors really at one point in time or the other. Now, let me ask you this. At what point, really, would you suggest that we seek the intervention of a professional counselor, either in the life of an individual, mature individual, or in the life of a child? At what point, really, do you think, oh, at this point, this person should actually not rely on his own understanding or his own strength, really? He should actually seek help.
Thank you. I will first of all state that not until we have problem before we see the counselor. not until we have that problem. Just like someone going to the hospital for just checkup. Now, when you see people in the hospital, are you sick? Just because not our mentality. I see some parents, they will hire teachers for their children at home. Why not hire a professional counselor for your child too? Now, at every point in time, everybody needs counseling. Everybody needs it. Not until we have cases. There is need to get it right, even when it is still very simple. Everybody, it may be a psychological issue, it may be, you can see it physically, academically. The student that is not performing well in this area, something must have happened before that level. In fact, the problem may be, or might come from the parents too, forcing the child to what is not interested to the child. So the child will come to, will be at the junction and be confused, not knowing whether to go to the left, to the right, and before you know it, the wind will blow the child to the world and will become another thing. So at every point in time, not a particular age, counseling starts immediately the child is born. Yes, immediately the child is born. It may be through our behavior. No one can teach a child how to abuse. The child will learn. Abi? Of course. It's what I want you to do, is what I say. No one will teach a child to know how to cheat. When you measure a Congo of rice with this category of, maybe this one is already padded, the other one is genuine. The child is looking at the way you are doing it. Of course, he understands what is going on. So counseling is not meant for only addressing the problem. But before the problems emanate, there is need to showcase counseling at every point in time. And everywhere will just be like heaven on earth.
Yeah, you mentioned employing a counselor at the home front.
Yeah.
Now let's evaluate the effectiveness of the counselors in schools. We have guidance and counseling units in schools, and at the university level, I'm not sure every, whether government or private-owned university has the counseling units. Now, how do you rate their effectiveness? Well, I understand the position of parents in tackling moral decadence. Now, we are talking about high rate of moral decadence. Now, at the home front, we have parents, expected to do what is expected of them. Schools also. Now, schools, guidance and counseling unit, the counselors are also part of what is, who should mold a child. Now, how do you rate their effectiveness so far, looking at this context?
Yes, let me start from my home base, my institution. I think I'm free to mention my institution, Federal College of Education, Abeokuta. Honestly, I give it to my provost. We have counseling center. We have career development, and we have standby counselors on ground to handle one issue or that. May I still tell you, our provost happens to be the patron of our APOCON Ogun chapter. The man is a man of integrity, has keen interest in counseling. So from my own home base, I know the counseling is effective in our own institution. But moving down, going outside, from the remarks we are getting from especially primary section, secondary section, not really palatable, because we have some of our professionals, counselors, they are still using them as subject teachers. They teach. There's no how you can put two things together. One will suffer. Instead of practicing counseling, they are school teachers. They are subject teachers. they are teaching. Counseling is suffering. Children are suffering. So now we are looking at it. If they are unable to practice, how will the reduction in this moral decadence we are talking about? It is not possible. So they can't do two things together. So I can boldly say the rate at which our counselors in primary and secondary school are given opportunity to operate very, very low.
Very low. Yeah.
Well,
let me
And, okay.
Yes, that's why we are actually having this conversation, really, how best we can retool counseling, really, to be able to ensure that counselors, I think we understand that even some schools don't even have counselors, as a matter of fact, while some who have, they are actually
have other assignments,
teach other subjects. So that's the basis really for this conversation, how we can actually retool counseling to achieve the purpose of reducing moral decadence. But before I come to you, let me come to Mr. Adefolahan. You are also a child advocate, really, and then I want you to talk about the place and the purpose of role models, really.
Please off.
Role models.
Okay.
And how this goes a long way to really help the child. We live in a society where material things are celebrated, as a matter of fact. Materialism is celebrated, regardless of where you get it from. No one cares, really. Don't you think that is a big cog, really, in the wheel of ensuring that our children, stand on the path of integrity and on the right path? Because if anybody is celebrated, regardless of what the person does, the most important thing is the person, showing forth huge materialistic tendency. Such children who see such a person as a role model may not.
Before we drift into the issue of the role model, let me shift back to the issue of analyzing the counseling services in our schools.
Okay.
Well, let me also say that it is quite unfortunate. Counselors in Nigeria are not really trained, realizing the depth of the teachers in the school system. The curriculum producing counselors also says that when you study guidance and counseling, you should also have what we call a teaching subject. And of course, that is saying that when you get to school, yes, you have about a maximum of 40 periods in a week for teaching. As a counselor, ideally, what should be given to you should be maybe 8 periods per week, or 10, or maximum 15. But what is on ground is that that little periods that our counselors are supposed to be using for teaching, and of course, with majority of that time for effective counseling is not there. One could understand that the issue of not having enough teachers is responsible for that, but that has been the culture in the last 20, 30 years, which has not really changed. And of course, we want to call on the Ministry of Education and of course the Teaching Service Commission to look into this area. Where the danger is in that is this. By the time we are placing students, by the time students are migrating from the basic junior class to the senior class, ideally, this is a critical time, a critical point in the life of our students. And so, at that point, they need the services of professional counselors to guide them into the stream that they'll be going into. Is it science? Is it management? It will be arts. And of course, by the time our students couldn't get it at that point, a student who is supposed to go into medicine, finding himself in the area of communication, by the time he gets to the university, because he doesn't have interest in the area he has found himself, he doesn't have time for that whistle. And of course, that is part of where the decadence starts from. Now, coming back to the issue of the role model. Well, it is quite unfortunate that the social media has greatly not helped in this sense. and of course the media, not just about the social media, because the kind of people that our youths are now celebrating are not the kind of the people our elders of old used as their own mentor. The kind of people we looked up to in those days were medical doctors, lawyers, engineers. Yes, some may not really go into real academics, but delved into the world of business and entrepreneurship. Yes, it is not all the time we all find ourselves learning Turinchi, but then, unfortunately, here we are. The kind of people that our youth have chosen as mentors are the kind of people that are into drugs, they are into cultism. These are the kind of people who, by their dressing, you see them piercing their ears, the kind of hairstyle they do sagging, and in the name of football, in the name of music. That is not good enough. There is no harm in saying, oh, I have interest in music. Fine. Go into that field that you have passion for, but then with a little bit of caution, so that not the kind of people who goes into the use of drugs to perform. And so that is part of where they are missing it. The natural talent is there, the raw talent is there for you to excel. But unfortunately, in the process that you want to be like ABCD, whose style is occultism, whose power is drugs, these are the kind of areas our people are, and these are the things that are not really helpful for our own society, because invariably those in the primary school too will also be clamoring to be like those in the secondary, and of course by the time...
Isn't it largely because these are the people who actually splash the money really on social media, and the society said that's what the society celebrates?
Well, that is about value is a value issue. Unfortunately, we've heard about money rituals of recent. We've heard about Yahoo boys using our girls, forgetting that you need to work hard before you can earn your money. So it is now Yahoo Plus, no longer Yahoo. Yahoo is when you strike, you hit your client who is overseas. But these days, we've heard of the migration from Yahoo to what we call Yahoo Plus by going into the occultic world to go into ritual killings before you now make money. Over what? Human life, for goodness sake. So the sanctity of life is no longer there in the name of, you know, these days you are driving along in your own small car and you see a young boy of 18, 19, 20, 21 driving past you in a car worth over 50 million, 70 million. And of course, go and check the parent. The parent is a pauper who has not even had his or her breakfast as at the morning. So these are some of the issues that as a society, beyond, as a society, we also need to begin to talk to our parents. The need to have to value hard work and reduce, not only reduce, forget about what is called fast money, because the issue of the fast money is also part of what is causing the issue of what we are talking about. You need to work. Rome wasn't built in a day. There must be a progression, but our youth these days doesn't want to take it easy. So theirs is at 18, 19, 20. They want to have a mansion. They want to have the best car in town at the age of 21. Over what?
Okay. Still talking about counseling. Going back to the issue of school. Guidance and counseling unit. Now, do you think government should mandate the establishment of a counseling unit in all tertiary institutions? We know that in secondary school we have counseling units. Though maybe, just like you mentioned, giving them subjects to teach is not making them to be effective enough. Now, part of the retooling that government needs to do is to reposition this. But at the university level, just like I mentioned, I don't think we have an average of 50% schools, institution who has counseling units. Now, do you think government should come out and mandate it for all tertiary institutions?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, you are talking of what is obvious. Counseling is not really about the primary school or secondary school. It's something that cuts across primary, secondary, university. She has just mentioned that at FC Abeokuta, there is a counseling department that takes care of the needs of not only the students, but also the staff. And so that is how it should be. When we say a counselor is not really talking about the students alone. The counseling is also about that society, the environment, the whole gamut which he or she has found himself or herself. So the services is not about the students alone. And so in our higher institutions of learning, you know, these are students who are adults, yes, adults, but then they also have their own toga of problems. They are also bringing from the home, from the community, that is a bit of a problem for them. And so we need somebody who will be around to guide them and of course throw so many options to them that look, because these are the people who can take decisions on their own. And of course the issue of being a child who is not well informed is not there. These are people who can reason on their own, but then as a human being, the issue of stress, anxiety, depression, these are the people battling with those major things. And of course, that is where we cannot do away with the services of guidance counselors in our high institutions, because a lot of these students are into cultism, they are into drugs. And of course, the text anxiety is also there. And so they need to be moderated for them to know how to prioritize their scale of preference. That, well, you have a choice that either you continue to go to nightclubs, parties, drugs, and so on, or you face your academics so that at the time you are leaving this institution, you are coming with a high rating that will make you to be a productive member of the larger society. So where we feel that, oh, we don't need them, well, the kind of students will be shunning out of our universities and high institutions are students who are misguided, whose value orientation is so low that all they want is quick money. And of course, they have little respect for the sanctity of life.
Now still talking about the retooling, really, of counseling. Technology we are in the technology era now, and technology has actually, changed the face of quite a number of things. How much of technology impact has your field really gotten, and how are we seeing your association, deploying technology in the practice of guidance and counseling, so that more people can have access? Earlier on, while you were talking, you talked about having access, to guidance and counseling. And as a matter of fact, not when we have problem alone, even right from childbirth. That is when the need for guidance and counseling is is required. So, how much of technology really has this profession really experienced and impacted? Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes.
Oh, it's okay. For our association, we have a channel where we communicate with our clients. For instance, we have both within and outside the country. As I was at the reception, I was with my clients from Ukraine. So our association will have the platform where the students or anyone can explore to seek for the assistance at any point in time. And we are ready. By the time they type our association on online, it will bring it. Let them send message to us. We are ready to assist. Then it's very easy to shape the life of these children. If we parents, there are a lot of pressure from the parent too. Someone was telling me, I said, never heard of such. They said they even have association of Yahoo parents, mothers. Imagine how on earth, in a society that needs sanity. We have some parents, their children will be in school, they will still be coming to request from their children. This pressure, the pressures are so much on these children. So parents, because I believe no one is born out of a family. We are from one particular family or the other. So this can be, we are ready. That is where we are giving our voice. We are giving our voice. They can be reshaped, and of course, we can do it right. If all of us work together, we can achieve the best.
All right.
Well, because we say we are in the e-world, sincerely yours, I must commend the Ogun State government for creating this e-platform for education services in Ogun State. And of course, where counseling can come in is also that, yes, all the students have a code that they can log on to assess their academic performance online. And of course, how I wish, and of course, it will be a good recommendation to the Ogun State government that they should also consider the use of so many psychological tools, especially psychological tests that could be deployed online so that the academic performance of students, and of course the issue of guidance into academic orientations could be used to place our students. So it is a challenge to Ogun State government. They have started, and of course they are doing well, but I feel they could also improve on the current e-platforms that they have created in Ogun State, in the administration of our secondary school and of course primary schools, because I know this also goes beyond secondary school. Our primary school students with their code can easily log on to those platforms and access their information. At the same time, I feel that this is something that could also be extended to the parents too, to also, so at their fingertips, they can also tap to see, oh, this child that is not coming in home with his academic report. Let me also see what is happening online. And of course, from there, the parents could also know the attendance of the student, that child who has been leaving home and of course not getting to school.
Now, let's also look at how much of collaboration, really, as a guidance and counselor, probably that is working in the school. How much of interaction, really, should that guidance and counselor, you know, have with the parents of the child? Yes, we understand that, I mean, advanced climes, technology would actually do this, you know, way faster, you know, by just sending mails to the parents and the rest of them. But in this, our own space, we really haven't gotten to that height. So how much of interaction, really, should guidance and counselors have with parents, really, you know?
Yes, when you look at the policy of education in Nigeria, there is a place, strong place of counseling in education. And our association, we've been trying to collaborate with the principals of schools. We are planning also, you know, we have counselors too. There is need to have the trainers to remind ourselves some of the skills that we can use to address different issues. And collaboration is in form of, even when we have people that are ready to accept the offer, we are ready to give the service. We may think maybe the charges will be, we are ready, we will do a kind of service to humanity so that our society will experience peace and the security will be so strong that everybody can just close their eyes and sleep without any fear. So we are ready. The moment we are called, we are ready to collaborate. But we are collaborating already If you want, no, we are saying it's not only for school. Even your organization here, yes, everybody needs counseling, and we are ready to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us this morning. Of course, we have been taking a look at retooling counseling for, reducing and minimizing moral decadence in the society, and we have been able to, yes, look at this particular issue, and we must thank you so much, our guests, for your time with us, addressing this particular issue. Dr. Emily Adeniji, Chairperson, Association of Professional Guidance
Counselors in Nigeria,
Ogun State Chapter. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, Mr. Shino Adefolao, a child development advocate. We also appreciate you. That's the size of the program. New done for today. We thank you so much for watching. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Tyrone.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend. Another crew will join you on Monday. Bye for now.